2, 1. We got some unfinished business.
Hello, you gaming pals and gals, and welcome to the show that looks at games from the past, the present, or sometimes even the future, and decides what the judgment is going to be. I am your host, Gamessnia, and welcome yet again back to the Gamessnia show. And hey, it's extremely windy outside today, but that's not important. But you know what I'm looking forward to playing eventually? The Dead Space remake. It's already being said within a week of it being announced and coming out that this remake is one of the best remakes to ever exist, which I already think is a bit of a bold claim to already make. God of War Ragnarok did that, but it delivered on there. But due to me personally being interested in other games coming up very soon, it might be a while before I actually touch the game, like maybe let's say April or May. But I was actually really excited to play another game that was named the Dead Space successor, and its name was the Callisto Protocol. I mean, come on, it looked promising. It did seem it was going to copy a lot of what made Dead Space so good in the first place. The look of it, the astounding graphics, the extremely promising horror aesthetic it showed. These were all reasons combined to make me say, man, look at this. I am super excited to play this game. Minus the sarcasm, obviously. And you know what? I kind of still am. There's been a lot of the news about this game saying it's this or that, and really, I don't care about that. If you know me, which you don't, because I like to lead a calm and steady life as a midlife struggling college student, you will know that I don't listen to reviewers and other people's tales on it and base it as my own opinion. I watch or play that stuff for myself and base that on my opinion, and it's just so much easier, quite frankly. And if people hate the opinion, people can't tell me I'm a sheep for taking someone else's own words and placing them on my own lips. So, with that in mind, throw all that nonsense in the trash where it rightfully should be, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Callisto Protocol. And look, at least with Dead Space, the story isn't so confusing and boring to the point that it's even hard to follow in the first 20 minutes. Oh, that, and you haven't got stupid important characters making decisions before it's too late. Like, bitch, you have a gun, use it! There you go. Wait, what? How in the span of 5 minutes have we went from checking our delivery from Amazon shopping to getting boarded, having our life support slowly go out along with our own ship, burning to an oblivion, literally everything is going tits up here. And so upon crash landing in a deserted, fuck this, I'm not even gonna bother, let's just get on with the game already. So after being brought onto every death ship imaginable that we see in these types of games and being branded as one of the prisoners on Black Iron, hey, you see it? You got the thing, you know, the thing you had in the game one time before. You also had the thing, and that thing came a staple of the series. No. But the sweet smell of an unexplained biological prison outbreak. Smells like paradise to me. I mean, you can tell this was their first game. There's only one thing you were gonna suck at in your first one. I mean, not just for games, but I mean everything. And in this case, for Striking Distance Studios, theirs was plot. Oof, not a good one. I'll be honest, I just don't get it. The story sucks. Like, I'm being dead serious when I say that I know nothing. Like, why am I here? What exactly is Black Iron? What have I got to do with anything here? Like, maybe it gets answered later on, but these should kind of be addressed in the beginning bits of the game to get you hooked. And it's just not there. I'm gonna switch myself to auto mode where you can actually just soldier through without caring too much. It's just the case if you could do the same. Spoiler alert. It's a lot to try and accomplish. But I need to switch myself back the other direction now, as story is not crucial, but instead a conflicting point. The combat. Now, to all the people that say Callisto is basically Dead Space, that is where that change is quite clear. See, in Dead Space, it was always about your guns and targeting the specific limbs of certain monstrosities along your way, with finishing them off by stomping your fucking foot in their neck! Which was very satisfying and rewarding, which is why I loved it in the first place, but Callisto Different story. You have to instead use hand-to-hand combat whilst dodging attacks to gain a much bigger advantage over aggressive enemies by using light and heavy attacks with a, might I add, very awkward dodging mechanic. Holding left or right is how you dodge attacks, and holding back will attempt to block attacks. Because I said attempt, because you can't fucking do it properly, because it never fucking works. And you need to keep evading until there is an opening to unleash your attacks and using your electrical baguette. And maybe if you have the time, stomp their neck into the ground. But to be honest, I love this. Yeah, I actually really like the whole concept of it, especially even more so when you start adding in the chain gun attacks when you strike an enemy enough times, letting you deal bigger and better gun damage, as your guns don't really feel all that powerful a lot of the time when you just use them singly. I really found this stuff very cool additions to the combat, and it really made it feel like it had a much more bigger depth to it, and it definitely doesn't feel like it's trying to copy Dead Space in my opinion. Quite the opposite actually. This combat actually just makes you think that due to the complexity of it, that it's trying its best to further itself away from the horror cult classic. Like especially when you start obtaining credits through looting and collecting CPU printers in crates, when you aren't actually jump scared for the 5,000th time. Like seriously, don't give me crates to open and have every single one of them in that chapter be duds. They will let you upgrade your weapons, such as unlocking new attachments for your guns to help base stats like power and stability, or maybe even add alternate fire that I'll be honest, I didn't get much of, or maybe go into your stun baton area where you can enhance the strength of your attacks and help also unlock new abilities like counter attacks and parry blocking. It's a lot of base stuff you'd find in any game, but the depth here I think is something that should be heavily appreciated even when they give you much more guns to play with. My main issue however is how the style has kind of been implemented as an open area one-on-one type of combat, but there can be several next to many instances where you are pitched against enemies surrounding you from all angles in very tight and enclosed spaces. It just doesn't work, I'm afraid. In fact, it's extremely frustrating to literally focus on 3 or 4 enemies at a single time when you have to keep an eye out for precise dodging and also transforming enemies that can present an even worse problem if not taken care of as soon as possible. But you know, it's not as bad as you expect it to be, and that's mostly because of the overly generous health injectors. Yeah, like seriously, why was there so many of these things in the game? Like, I get there's gotta be rewards and forgiveness for games like this after going through so much hell, but I'm not joking when I say there was a health injector waiting for me to grab in one of these little boxes every 10 minutes or so. Like, I kind of had a near estimate total of 23 by the time I got to the 3rd chapter, and no, I didn't count all the way through, which granted I wish I kind of did, and if I was to wager a guess on how much I would have found by the end of the game, I would maybe wager a good 80 injector boxes because of how much you get in the game. But even with so much help from the first aid department side of things, the fights you get into with these biological demons can rise from really bullshit times to rage-inducing, switch the game off and not playing the game for a few more days just so I can regain my sanity back once again, levels of frustration, especially in the fucking cargo wave. I'm already going deep into this game already, but fuck this. If you want an example of the pain a man or woman has to go through when dealing with enemies in this game on a longing basis, here you go. Like, the bullshit you have to deal with the swarming from every angle in which we have established is not good. The on-the-fly equipping of weapons and the constant reloading of your guns, which I swear are never reloaded properly, which is the sole reason for at least half of my deaths here. And just plain old instances where dodging just doesn't respond. Yeah, in a game where dodging helps you find an advantage over your enemies and isn't just best for you but is super crucial to your survival, there are times where I swear on my life I will try to dodge an attack but it just doesn't respond and I just die. Or there are times where dodging patterns needed to be observed closely and strike them at the last possible second, but the patterns feel so shuffled to the point I got hit more than I should have. Maybe I'm just an idiot, or maybe it's just because this combat has bored me a lot to this point. Like, I know, I just said it's got a depth to it and is enjoyable, and that's not a lie. Don't worry, I didn't lie there. For the first 2 chapters, the base of it all is really fun and satisfying to play with, but the thing kind of just runs its course a bit too much in all the way up to the worst extent and gets dull and tedious to the point of boredom. And yes, there is the GRP gauntlet, which you obtain very early on, which allows you to grab something or someone and throw it at spiked walls or just normal explosive at enemies, which is awesome. The problem is, it's a big fat piece of turd. Like really, if you ever used this, please do! I know they force it on you during this whole machinery swarm part here, but the more I used it, the more I started to incorporate it into my game style and fell in love with how powering I felt. You know, there's just times where you just throw them away to calm down a situation like, yeah, fuck off! Or when you see a nasty little spiky wall and he's pissing you off and you grab him and you... Even grabbing someone just to attack them within a good range is so bloody satisfying. It's just so much more easier when dealing with enemies too. Like I said, it's a nice touch to change it massively from Dead Space, but yet again, the battery has to ruin such a cool feature. This battery lasts you 2 usages to start off with, but upgrading it will enhance it much more, as well as choosing the throw distance it can have. But this isn't even the main problem I have here. My main gripe with it is how much little info there is on it. Like how much percentage of it is left, or maybe even a little indicator on how much more I can use it before it dies. This thing apparently can charge when it's not being used. There's actually a quick button for using your health injectors as well, which thankfully is extremely reliable, but the gauntlet doesn't. What the hell is that all about? Instead, every time you want a fresh new battery in a desperate time of need for combat, which is 1,000,000 times better than just waiting for a good old charge, you need to enter your real-time inventory and quickly select your batteries available and hold the triangle button down to equip it and load a new battery into the gauntlet. And with how quick this battery can drain from using it on a daily basis in combat, oh, one can only fathom the pain and anguish from such a thought. Whew, that was a lot to talk about just around that one topic alone. That was a lot. I've actually lost track where I was at. Where was I? Hold on. Actually, I'll quickly recap myself here. See my notes. See, we talked about lack of story. We then talked about, yes, prison jokes, funny prison jokes in there, in combat, and then it just goes on for a couple, that's another page of combat, then upgrades, and like that, bridge bit, yeah, that's a stupid no I doing, but they're there. See, I can't find anything about it, like, there's literally nothing but blank pages, see, it's literally just nothing but blank pages, I don't get it myself. Oh, here we go. Ah, yeah, that's where I was going to be at. Horror aesthetics. Ah yes, a beautiful, gorgeous horror aesthetic to match a horrifying video game about a biological disaster outbreak in a correctional facility. You gotta love it. No, seriously, I love it. I love how eerie and creepy this game can be thanks to it creating such an atmosphere in any given area, whether it's making you feel claustrophobic in cramped caves, disturbing you with sights of horror, panicking you with views of destruction, or even the good old flashing red lights in a hallway horror trope to make you feel anxious as Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. It does its job at creating a horrific feeling to it, and the abnormal designs of all the abominations only just add to this whole thing. I swear whenever I play games like this and Dead Space, I do not want to meet the deranged psychopaths that were responsible for this. Oh, in your dreams am I fighting that? It overall that even for our hell, it's even great to see the tiniest detail falling on your mech suit and staying there for a duration of time instead of quickly disappearing. Expect and hey, quick point. Do these doors remind you of something?
now know why it got banned.
Do you understand?